I personally think Missouri is pretty good. I mean, I honestly went into that game, and the line's like whatever it was, 1.5, 2.5.
And we overreact, right?
And we
it's kind of our
overreact.
job to
Like Missouri,
overreact.
Missouri is good. Like it'd be different if we lost to Vanderbilt or if we actually lost to EKU, which
Like
we were
Louisville
down a
lose to
half.
Missouri?
No.
Well, it turns out Louisville lost to Pitt. And so I have several different theories as to why this picture turned out the way that it did and nobody was in the stadium. One, beer sales end at the end of the third. Why am I staying to watch this game into the fourth without a Mick Ultra at that point? Next, I will say it's bye week this week. We can relax. We can take a little break, step back and assess the situation. I know there was a team meeting on Monday, and I think we were just getting a head start. Lastly, I think everybody was rushing away from the stadium because they had heard that Pitt was up on Louisville at this point, and they were rushing home to their television sets to watch Pitt
They probably had it on the
beat
big
the
screen.
Cards. Go Pitt. Sweet Caroline. I don't know what they do up at Pitt. I actually know what WVU says in the chant against Pitt. That can't be repeated here on air.
That's tough.
We were on a high.
Yep.
We just beat a top
Go ahead.
10 team.
Give us your
Notre
excuses.
Dame, who
Yep.
for the
We'll take
people
your
who
excuses.
said Notre Dame was not good enough to be a top 10 team, that's a lie. They just blew out USC last weekend. Go check it out. It was like a 20-point game. It was not even close. So in my mind, it tells me Louisville's better than USC. But
It's the only bet I won
So-
last weekend.
What's
we're on a
Pitt's
high.
record?
We're going into Pitt.
2-4.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We're going into Pitt in a rainy Cody
Rainy Cody game. We got him tore up.
environment on homecoming night.
Bird
And
talk.
They've actually got Pitt's coach mic'd up during warm-ups, and you could hear him on TV say, "This is our weather. We're ready to go. We're ready to go, guys. Get fired up. They're not used to this weather. We
Oh,
are.
it's the weather.
And,
Oh,
I see.
And
So-
it caused us.
Bird
to-
talk.
So, emotional high. Notre Dame is actually good.
birds can't fly in
And
bad weather.
birds can't fly in bad weather. Cardinals thrive in the wintertime. I just want you to know.
I will say this before we move off this topic. We are the only team in the state of Kentucky that's ranked in the top 25 still after last weekend.
Barely even in Kentucky.
November 25th.
That makes it even
November
worse.
25th.
barely even in Kentucky.
Even worse.
Beware the witches. We are going to Louisville. We're going to pregame in the parking lot. We're going to film live, even if it is recorded on our phones and we have to retake 5 times and maybe actually somehow teleport from the bicycle garage to the parking lot.
Maybe by then we'll have a BTW
Teleporter?
TikTok.
A TikTok.
Mine was much more realistic than yours.
Dreaming big. All right, so dreaming big. I don't know about this segment or segue, but hometown heroes.
Can't all be winners.
No, we can't. Hometown heroes, of course, moving on to high school football. That was actually Friday rerun. The high school football that was last Friday night, and I want to get into this first one. Like this is the one as far as high school football that I want to talk about because me and E had this circled the entire year. Is Perry at Letcher. And for a long time, we thought this might be for the 2 in that district. Turns out Whitley is very good, which Letcher goes to Whitley this weekend, which we'll talk about later in the show. Whitley, of course, beat Perry. But this is an important game for both teams. This is like winning season for both of these teams. And Perry goes to the hill and gets it done in our mind. So 20-6. Dusty actually covered the game. Initial thoughts.
The lack of skill players that were injured for Letcher County Central was significant.
That's a good way to put it.
Quentin Williams was
Not
kind of-
completely healthy.
he was not healthy. He was really a diversion because he was throwing the ball on the sidelines. From what I heard, he was expected to start at quarterback.
Right.
If he could go, he was going to go at quarterback. And he was throwing and it looked good, but he played 2 plays, I think, at running back and then didn't play the rest of the game.
Yep.
I think it made the difference. Like, I think they could have even it's a hard time winning without your starting quarterback, but I think they could have won without their starting quarterback because it was such a defensive struggle.
Yep.
If they could have had some more skill behind the center.
Right. Yeah.
Not to take away from
Thoughts
people
on
who ran the ball anyway.
thoughts on Perry.
Perry played great defense the whole game. In Hometown Heroes, we're going to talk about we'll talk about a kid that shut them down.
Yeah.
Like corner.
Yep.
Right. That done really good, played really good. Gavin Brown shut down
Noah for a while.
for a while.
Yep.
And then when he got on the field and was gassed, that was it.
Yep.
The hot one.
Yep.
I think that the turning point in the game, I really think Letcher had it. I think they had the game won until the last drive of the third quarter.
Yeah,
the fumble. You know,
I'm watching the game, and I'm not trying to keep up with the game. It's like 6-0, and then it's like 6-5, and I'm like, oh my God! And then this happens late third.
Yeah, late third. So, and I have official friends. You know, man, I got friends who are officials.
Official friends.
I don't mean this in a bad way. They missed a call on that fumble. The ball come out. The kid didn't have possession. He flopped on the ball, and when he got possession, both feet was out of bounds. So the right call there would have been Letcher Central ball.
He tried to get possession going out of bounds.
Yes, and he could.
And he couldn't, and then he fell on the ball, and his whole legs were out of bounds.
Both bottom half of his body was out of bounds. You know, the ball was in bounds.
Right.
But the bottom half.
It's a tough call. Like I said, it's a tough call.
It's a tough call, but if
I
thought that was the turning point. If they call that Letcher Central ball, Letcher Central wins that game. There's no doubt in my mind.
I agree.
Yeah.
The momentum was just there.
And I think Dusty mentioned this is like what really was worst case scenario for Letcher is their defense had to go straight back out on the field.
Yeah.
You know, and you can only hold down Perry Central's offense for so long. And I think there was a big play directly after that.
Yeah, the big touchdown was right after they were gassed.
Too, and you both know, and in the high school down sports, it's all about momentum.
Yeah.
It's all about motivation and confidence.
Momentum,
and once you
for
lose
sure.
that, it's...
And the war was in the trenches, really. And shout out to your brother who's in the trenches.
Yep. All right. So it was not a surprising score by any means, but we knew that would be a really tough one looking down the schedule. And then I think, obviously there were some key injuries, but that's not taking anything away from Perry's game plan and Perry's execution in order to get it done away from home. And to that end, speaking of home place where Breathitt County was playing on the riverbanks in Jackson last Friday night, I think this score was a little surprising to many. Breathitt was coming out of a bye. We know they've had a little bit of a disappointing season so far, some turmoil with the team maybe. But I think Coach Moore, he has a way of, and this happened to them a couple years ago where they started out really slow and then they pick it up toward the end. They win a couple playoff games. And I think I'm predicting that they do that again this year. They go 3-5. And then win last week in a big way, 48-14 against Leslie. Thoughts on that game? You better talk good about Breathitt.
I think, I'm not giving anybody a chance to twist my words or cut this into a TikTok. I seen it coming. I predicted last week. I said Breathitt's going to win. I've said every weekend Breathitt's going to win, and we got it right. I knew this was going to happen.
Well, if you say Breathitt's going to win every weekend, eventually,
Hey,
get it right.
When you cut it,
I've believed all year.
I'm not in this. I'm in this box.
I thought this would be a really good game. I'm just a little bit shocked by the score. And also, you're looking at the stats, and, Dylan Stacy is playing quarterback again, and now they're throwing it again. It's like they had this initial game plan to throw it around, then they scraped that game plan to run it, and now they went back to the original. Just said, forget it. We're just going to go with what we thought we were going to do at the beginning of the year, and it worked Friday night.
If you got two game plans, you don't have one.
They executed the one game plan more so than the other last Friday night.
Who'd we pick in that game?
I didn't get to pick that game. I didn't get to pick that game. I got distracted.
Who'd you pick in that game?
Oh, I took Breathitt.
Yeah,
I assure you, I took the Bobcats.
I did not take Breathitt, so clip me.
Clip him. He's here. I thought it would be a really good game. If you would have asked me last Friday night to predict it, I would have said it was a really good game. I probably would have still took Breathitt maybe, but I thought this would be a really good game. I was a little bit shocked by the score. We'll talk
Down the road a little bit.
Yep. Martin over Knott fairly easily last Friday night. Knott trying to stay competitive on the year. They got a couple wins on the year. I know they're really young. They got a couple injuries, some adversity they're dealing with. But Martin was over Knott last Friday. All right. Hometown Heroes. Speaking of our scores that was last Friday, the stars that shine last Friday evening, starting with that all-important game of the Perry Central Commodores and the Letcher County Cougars, Kaiser Sloan. 15 of 26, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, nearly 40 yards on the ground. Tom Brady didn't run for 40 yards in a game.
All right. Tom Brady also rarely ever threw for under 200 yards.
That's true, too. We talked about how back and forth this was, and I'll give you the opportunity here. I mean, because next up is Noah Kilburn with 6 catches, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It was obviously a huge factor in that game. But you mentioned that for so long in this game that Letcher Central's defensive backs really held it down.
Yeah. Yeah, I think really it's not indicative of really how LCC's defense played.
Yeah.
Like, him getting those is just because he's superior athlete to most people on the field.
Yep.
Noah getting those yards.
Yep.
Because Gavin, again, like, shouting him out because I think he played. For me, he was like MVP on the night because they should have scored a lot. And he shut down 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And was shutting him down. But the height, you put the ball in the right place and you just can't beat
Well,
it. You know?
and the thing is, too, is like you're asking your defense to do this over and over and over. And eventually, I mean, fatigue.
And those boys got
does set
chemistry.
in.
Kaiser.
Kaiser and Noah definitely.
chemistry.
I mean, you can look at the stats throughout the year, and I mean, Noah's
the only person he threw to.
well, he's obvious. I mean, I would venture to say he's probably top receiver stats in Southeastern
I'd like
Kentucky.
to see these numbers, the stats, that how many of these throws, because the 15 of 26, because LCC and Perry ran screens the whole game. So I'd say the 15 of 26 was like 6 passes
screen game.
deep, and it was mostly screens.
But you said there's the one deciding factor is after the fumble, he hit Noah on a long one.
long pass.
Yeah. Thoughts on Kaiser and Noah's performance since you
KS12 is legit.
KS12.
KS12 is legit. You know, I like him. I really have. I've always bragged on Kaiser on this show.
Been great.
I
He's on the hometown. Him and Noah is on the hometown list, like hometown hero list, like every Friday night.
Most definitely. So I like him. You know, I do. And KS,
He could play on Saturdays.
Yeah, we talked about
like-
that the other night during the
At,
first
like,
time.
Western Kentucky or Louisville,
Well,
somewhere bad like that.
and it's somewhere bad like Louisville.
6-1 is greater than 5-2. Search it up. The numbers are correct.
I think both of those guys definitely have a great opportunity. I mean, with Noah's athleticism and Kaiser being the game manager that he is, I mean, I think you're right, especially at a local level. I mean, those two guys can play on
A
Saturday.
lot of stars out of that game too.
Yeah, yeah. So Phoenix Eddington on the defensive side of the ball for the Commodores had 11 tackles, which was always impressive. And then for the Cougars, a name that Dusty said the other night got brought up over and over. And if you have missed this run, it reminds me when I was playing in Whitesburg. I hate to bring this up. When I was playing at Whitesburg, I hope he never sees this. I threw a fullback. You know, this is Whitesburg. I threw a fullback screen. How many of those do you see now?
Do fullbacks exist?
Fullbacks don't even exist. I threw a fullback screen to Trevor Butchery, right? If Brian Milam watches, shout out Brian Milam. I threw a fullback screen. This is the greatest ever because as a quarterback, how great is it to throw a 1-yard pass and they take it to the barn? He gets hit like 4 or 5 times. Dudes bounce off of him, and he slow motions. Like Brian Milam on Sports Overtime that night is like, ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your TV sets. This is actual speed, the speed of smell. Trevor Butchery rumbles and stumbles into the end zone.
Bumbling, stumbling.
And this was like Garrett Howard the other night. Not that he was slow by any means, but dudes just bounced off of him, and he found a way to roll around and get to the end zone.
Tough kid. That run was awesome.
It was amazing. If you have not seen it, you can go find it. It's out
He
there.
probably had 6 broken tackles on like spun around everybody and went around. It was great.
So he ends up with 75 rushing yards, a big chunk of that on that play, and one touchdown. But what was impressive to me is I'm looking at the stats for this game last Friday night. Is he also had 10 tackles.
I told you, and we called his name all night long. He was in on like every play. He ran the ball hard up the middle a lot, and was in on a lot more. I'm surprised you don't have more tackles than that. I think that stat's probably low.
That might have been unassisted. That might be so low. Dylan Stacy for the Breathitt County Bobcats. We mentioned the fact that they are throwing the ball again. He was 15-18, 182 yards and a touchdown. I think that bears mentioning as Breathitt ramps up for this playoff run. Isaac Wheels Turner for the Breathitt County Bobcats, a name you hear over and over if you're down on the riverbanks. 6 catches, 110 yards and a touchdown. I think that's huge rolling into this last little stretch for the Bobcats. And then finally, the bright star for the Leslie County Eagles, a name that we mention nearly every Friday night, Bryce Pugh, with 17 tackles.
It's a lot of helmets, Coach.
That's crazy.
It's a lot of helmets. Put some stickers on.
That's putting your nose in there often.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you are a ball hawk.
Head up, don't leave your feet.
Do not leave your feet. I wonder if Bryce left his feet any at all that night.
17 tackles, he probably did a couple times.
I don't know. Hometown Heroes from last Friday night. Who will be there this Friday night? Of course, your primetime preview for Friday evening as you're tuning in live on TVS Cable.
We're live.
Somerset 6-2. We're live from the Bicycle Garage. Somerset 6-2. The Briar Jumpers, most interesting mascot.
Oh, I love Briar Jumpers. Remember when they were going to do Letcher County Central, when they were picking the names for Letcher County Central? Briar Jumpers was one of them.
Was it?
Yeah, Briar. It was like, and everybody was mad because they were like, well, that's Somerset, so we can't do that.
Yeah.
But there were some cool ones, though.
I actually picked, you won't believe this. I actually picked the Pioneers.
Pioneers.
Yeah,
Cool,
I actually wanted it to be like relative
the colors were going to be blue and white either way, right?
Well, they let us act like we picked the colors too, but I think they were definitely predetermined because the one thing everybody wanted was like, okay, we can't have blue and white. We can't have purple or gold, and we can't have orange and black because those are our 6 consolidated
really
colors.
Won? Letcher.
Letcher won.
Yeah.
But I know I would say that this was predetermined that nobody wanted to lose their UK gear, so they wanted to keep it blue
every
and white.
consolidation goes through that.
Yes. Well, I had chosen the Pioneers, and the only colors that I don't even like this color scheme, but I actually think I went with the Stanford route I went with crimson.
I like crimson.
Like crimson, but I didn't want it to be like Alabama, so I threw in the silver. I threw it in cream. Did you see those balls? Who was that? Iowa State.
Yeah, with crimson and cream, baby.
Yeah, if you don't,
When it's dirty, it just all looks the same.
If you've not seen that, look it up. These boys look like they had no pants on. They had cream-colored pants on. Yeah, but anyway, Ravens was on the list, and I almost picked the Ravens. Was like my second choice.
Somerset and Leslie, what do you think?
Somerset and I think Somerset rolls them.
Yeah, so our home team on the board tonight, of course, Leslie County Eagles. And they're 5-3, and they had this really kind of slow start, but then they ramped it up, and then last Friday night was obviously kind of like disappointing. You're picking Somerset.
Yeah, I'm taking Somerset. I think Somerset. If you look at the two schedules, Somerset's 6-2, and I think what's Leslie like 5-3.
5-3. Yep.
But Somerset's played a little bit tougher of a schedule from my point of view.
Yep.
I think ultimately that even though that they're coming to Leslie, I still think that it's not going to be a good night for the Eagles.
It would be a good game.
Your thoughts?
Right, it should be a good game. They go either way. I kind of agree with you. Rarely do I do that, but I think Somerset better competition, better players. I mean,
we do know one of the losses that Somerset took, and that was to Perry at the beginning of the year when we had the botched field goal call. And I dare bring it up, but I thought it was just so interesting. I didn't know the rule myself that you attempt this field goal, and if it does not cross the line of scrimmage, that it is a live ball.
Well, you think about it this way. I mean, if you're playing Madden and you block a field goal, you can take it and run.
Yeah, right.
I think
Madden can scoop it.
I think the confusion comes into high school because a lot of those stats are like not being able to advance the ball in weird times.
Right. Well, And granted, if I mean, well, I guess Perry can pick it up and run it too. But I mean, Perry lands on it. It's over. The fact the Somerset kid had the presence of mind to pick it up and run it on,
yeah.
when everybody's blowing the whistle, it's kind of crazy. Crazy fallout from that one. But we've moved on, which takes us to our final segment of E's prophecies. Prophecies. Ooh, he's always correct, he says, because he's a Louisville fan.
I would love to know our records. I'd love to know.
We kept up with them last year.
Somebody do that research.
I
Do
will
that research for us.
I
I
will
know
say,
I'm winning.
I will say you beat me. Oh, God, that hurt. You did beat me by a couple games last year because I did keep up with it last year. But now I'm a hometown guy. I went for all the hometown teams. We're starting out with Breathitt. They're 3-5. They got at Danville, who's 0-8 this week. And I know you got an interesting take on that one. And then they go to Prestonsburg. So can Breathitt get to 5-5 before the playoffs? What's your take on this one?
I'm just looking for an upset. And I think it would be Danville winning a game. Boys, you got to win one of them.
You got to win one at home.
win one of
Senior
them.
night.
It's senior night.
I don't know. It's got to be.
Yeah, it has to be senior night. Got to win it. Got to win it.
So you're picking.
Loser leaves town.
You're picking Danville.
Danville's my pick.
That's it. I cannot wait for this hot video that Breathitt puts
Cut
out
me, Breathitt.
for this playoff
Cut me,
run.
Breathitt.
I can't wait.
Now
I
you're
don't think
just-
they're going
You
to make
all
a hot
better
video.
put him on tape.
I don't think they're going to put a
You better.
hot video.
Good guys.
Danville.
Bad guy.
Danville's hot.
You do know that I will not bet against the Bobcats.
Never have you ever.
I'm going never. No, I did. I made the mistake once. Once in my life, I made that mistake, and
Never
I failed
again.
at myself after seeing Corey? Is it Corey Hoskins or no?
Bryce.
Hoskins. Bryce Hoskins at a restaurant, and him calling me out. I said, never again will I bet against the Bobcats. So I think the Bobcats
Now
are
you
going to
know-
steamroll.
The Bobcats roll state
Steamroll
champs.
Danville on the road.
State champions.
I mean, probably.
Go Bobcats. We're painting our bodies blue. Danville's also blue. All right, next we have Letcher, 4-4 at what we have seen to be, we didn't know this at the time. Whitley's a little bit out of the coverage area, but they're in this district now. Whitley, they used to be in districts together, and then it got separated for a while. Now they're back. Whitley is 5-3, and their three losses are Bell, really good, North, good, and Corbin, pretty good. So, Letcher at Whitley, who you got?
Who do you got?
I'm going Whitley. I mean, I think you've brought up this not lack of skilled players. They've still got the skill and
Sure,
the
but they're
talent, but
hurt.
it's a change. It's a dramatic change to what you've been doing for the first half of the season and you having success to what you are doing now. And Whitley obviously has something figured out. And I am impressed with Letcher County Central's defense of last week. I'm hoping that the boys get together this past couple days and they've got this game plan to where we can get something offensively and keep it out of Whitley's high-powered offense's hands. And I believe that Coach Logan Johnson can do that on the offensive side as offensive coordinator and Junior Matthews. But it's going to be pretty tough going into Whitley County country. Who you got?
I'm taking Whitley. I don't think, listen, when we talked about this the other day, I don't think that Letcher can put it together this late in the season.
That's the problem.
You know,
Yeah.
if Gunner would have got hurt mid-season, like
Right.
before the bye week, or
Yeah.
got hurt early,
Or if
I
you
would
had
say-
one of your
or-
stars out.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that you're also throwing, Q was like,
Yeah.
it's like a heart and soul defensively, especially, and offensively too. Made some huge plays down the stretch against Breathitt to win
And
that one.
Q might play.
And he might play.
Maybe
And,
like
and
30%.
With or without Q, I think Whitley takes this one.
yeah, it's going to be pretty tough sledding. All right. Perry, 5-3. Are you ready?
Ready?
Really?
Where are them?
Born ready.
Born ready.
Born ready.
BTW ready.
They are at Corbin. I don't know the name of the stadium. Supposedly this place is like the nicest high school stadium in the state of Kentucky by far. I haven't seen it. I want to go. I'm going to Corbin versus Boyle. I don't care where it's at. But Perry, 5-3 at Corbin, who's like probably undefeated for the past 10 years. Who do you got?
You want this one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to say other than, Corbin's. It's a bunch of grown men. It's a bunch of grown men playing football, and I think they're going to win most scenarios. Aren't they 1,000,000? How many wins do they have? They have 1,000,000 wins?
I don't know. I mentioned this the other night. I'm going to mention it again. As me and CJ interviewed coach of Corbin there, and he mentioned the fact that it's so hard to find people to play, and I'm like,
Yeah, don't be so good. Suck a little bit. People will play if you suck a little
Coach,
bit.
if you just maybe just pretend to lose one. I mean, in your all's mind,
Don't
you can
lose,
still win.
just win by 7. You can control it, I think.
Well, they let Letcher score 14.
Yeah, against their third strings in the fourth quarter.
All right, who you got?
Is
Is it spicy?
This is spicy. This is going to shock a lot of people. I think Corbin is probably one of the greatest teams in the mountain. I do.
Ever.
But I don't think, and I think Corbin wins this game, but I don't think Corbin steamrolls Perry. I think it's a close game. I really do. I think that it's a 1 to 2 touchdown game, and I think it's neck to neck the whole game. I do. I don't think Corbin pulls away. If they do pull away, they're not going to pull away until the fourth quarter.
I think Perry
That's
will be
my
kneeling in the second half not to get their players hurt.
I mean, at this point, that's a good point too. If you're Corbin, at this point for them, your guys have maybe only played one game, and that was against Frederick Douglass.
And these dudes know that they can go undefeated.
Right. So
They're going to crush people in the first half.
Right. So, yes, I'm saying in their mind, they're ramping up.
Yep.
For Perry, you might be like, hey, we need to keep, and especially you're looking at the Letcher game, right? Hey, we need to keep our guys healthy too. Yep. We need to keep our guys healthy. We might be able to win a playoff game or two. So if you're coach Mark Dixon, you're looking at this and can I go to Corbin and win, compete? What do I want to do? Because I want to try to win a playoff game too with my dudes. Yeah. I don't know.
That comes into effect too whenever you get there and see how your dudes are playing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If this gets out of hand,
pull them.
A play into the game, pull them.
But it's not going to. It's going to be close because I'm always right.
What do you want the spread to be? Me and Dusty said the other night that if Perry goes to Corbin and win, we'll get a tattoo. What do you want the spread?
150,000
to 0.
Okay.
Corbin
I don't know, man.
minus 150.
I think being nice would be 21.
I mean, it was 38 or 39 to 14 against Letcher. I think it's fair to say that this one's 42-18. There you go.
That's fair. No, what do you say? 28-21.
I think it's probably 36-24.
That's not even that close.
That is.
No, that's 2 scores. That's pretty close.
Touchdowns.
By Corbin's standard, it's close. All right. Finally, no, not finally yet, but Pikeville finally played a game. This is a crazy scenario. Pikeville High School did not play a football game for 28 days. Look it up. Nearly a month in the middle of the season, they did not play. Speaking of coaches that can't find people to play them, Pikeville could not find anybody to play them. And they find a team to play them. There's a shooting. The team loses. It's crazy.
It's wild.
Scenario, right? Awful. And then they don't get to play that game, and here they are. They're not played in 28 days, and they finally play a district game last Friday night and get it done against Paintsville. But Pikeville is at Hazard. We know Hazard's had a pretty tough year. It's probably going to be senior night. I don't know. What's the score?
If this is your senior night and you're Hazard,
it might be. Might not be.
What have you done to yourself? If you're playing a team on your senior night that couldn't find a team to
I'm
play
just
them for
speculating.
2
It's
weeks.
one of the last couple games on the schedule. It's probably the last home game.
I'm just throwing that out there. If Pikeville's your senior night, there's something.
Oh, let me throw this tidbit in there. The last team to upset Pikeville in the playoffs.
In the
It's
playoffs.
not
Hazard.
Playoffs.
Oh, that is not. I love.
We're running
this.
out of time, so my pick is Pike when it's not close.
I'm taking Pikeville, but with that being said, Max Pelfrey's great. They got a great leader, great quarterback there, and I really like Coach Dan Howard. So I think you got to stick to it, keep grinding. Hazard's gonna be fine in years to come.
Finally, our hometown team, is at seem to be kind of struggling, maybe a little bit. Prestonsburg, a
It's
4
not
and
at
4.
Prestonsburg.
It is.
It
At-
is at Prestonsburg, not at.
It's not at Prestonsburg.
So is it? Where is it? Where's the game?
Not there.
It's at Prestonsburg.
All right, I'm over that. Sorry.
I didn't even realize that. Thank you.
Gotcha.
So who you got?
You take this one first?
Oh no, I always go second.
Okay. I'll take.
Your take first.
I'll take Prestonsburg in a steamroll. I think they steamroll not.
A steamroll?
A steamroll.
This is TBS Cable. This is a hometown team.
I'm sorry, Josh. Don't fire me, but I think Prestonsburg takes it.
It's,
36-8.
Thacker and Grigsby, you're fired.
Something like that.
I'm just trying to get somebody to buy this show, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick. Not.
Let's go. 2 upsets on the board for Dusty tonight. Not. And Danville. Danville
Cut it.
not the hometown team. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great show. It's been an amazing show. And I think we're kind of on time. Our mics have held up. Praise God if this recorded.
The clock didn't work, so we have no idea.
The clock didn't work. I have no idea how long we recorded, but we appreciate you tuning in, man, always. On behalf of Coach E, you got anything? Good night. Sayonara.
I'll see y'all next
Enjoy
week.
the game. Say enjoy the game.
Enjoy all the games.
Hey, it's a great one. Enjoy it.
Yep, absolutely. Guys, we'll see you. I have a surprise for you. It's Halloween next weekend. I have a special surprise. I may be in my Halloween costume, not my birthday costume. A Halloween costume next week. You want to tune in. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Here we go. We ready?
Oh,
Yeah!